Welcome to the worst nightmare of all. Reality.
Explore the lesser-known stories of our unknown world. Join the pursuit of the paranormal with Ash and Greg.
How's it going, Ash?
Good. I'm not doing too bad. How are you, Greg?
Good, thanks. I've just been thinking that's the intro, and that's the question I ask you every episode.
I know,
so
it's always you asking me.
Yeah, people going through the episodes must go, oh my God, is that all they talk about right at the start? But no, good things good with you, Ash, yeah.
All good.
We're starting to get rain in the UK, so
Yes, for the
we're
first
all
time in a
chuffed
while.
about that. Yeah. It's almost been like desert out there, so that's all good. It's all good. So tonight we are joined by Daryl. Daryl is joining us from South Africa, which is awesome. And I came across Daryl's Twitter account some time ago and was fascinated by one of the pictures they'd put up, which we'll go into during the podcast. But then I clicked on his bio, and that perked my interest as well, which was nature photographer, and I'm caught up in something amazing. I was like, okay, that's quite interesting, and I'm pretty sure that's the kind of thing I like to have a little look at, because that's quite a bold statement to put out on your bio. So welcome along, Daryl. How are you?
Thank you very much, guys. I'm good, thank you.
How's life treating you post-COVID and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, it's very difficult to say. I built a lodge on a lake, and
Oh, wow.
I started building 8 months before lockdown, and then they locked us down, and then I had the 2 years by myself to do everything we're going to talk about.
Oh, wow.
It wouldn't have happened if I wasn't locked up in my own camp by myself. It was quite something, but business-wise, not fantastic. Even today, our tourism hasn't picked up, so every day is a struggle.
I think it's starting to get slowly better, I think. The airports in the UK are chaos, but people are able to leave
100%.
And start getting around the world. So hopefully things will start to get back to a new normal as we sort of go towards the end of the year and next year. But so, and we actually started this podcast during lockdown as well.
Oh, awesome.
So
Awesome.
a lot of good things come out of lockdown. I won't say COVID, but lockdown. It gave people an opportunity to reevaluate things and look at things. Hence, where you're saying that it gave you an opportunity to start looking at this. So, before we get to that, do you want to give us sort of a little backstory for yourself? So you've been taking photos and videos of interesting. I don't know what you would call them, objects.
I named them the elementals to stay clear from this rhetoric, and just concentrate as a nature photographer on what I'm filming, and then here we are.
Cool. So you use elementals. So I've seen you use drone footage as well, which is obviously great. Yes. So you can get a high up point of view. So you're a photographer. Lockdown happened. How did you get to the elementals?
Okay. Let's be realistic. I think it's a deeper story in my life, but that will be for a whole other podcast.
Okay.
Excuse my dog's barking. How I really found them is I got given a drone assignment to do a lake system in Cozy Bay by a client who owned a boat charter. So I took the drone up at 5 o'clock in the evening, 5:30 in the evening, beautiful sunset, and the sky had just this beautiful pink haze, thick layer, a band. And I never noticed anything. I delivered the content to the client loved it. And about 4 months later, I just wanted to use a snippet for my own creative work. And I went into that, I took a snippet, and in the film came this white flash. And I was like, you got to look at that white flash. And I was like, it's impossible. What is this? And then I was able to reverse it. And I could follow the track 15 kilometers away in the distance in the mountain. And then nothing can travel 15 kilometers in 1 second. And then I was like, whoa. And then I asked the client for all of my footage back because I only had like 1 to 3 seconds or clip, whatever it is. But they gave me all the footage back, and it took me 6 months to dissect
Wow.
it. To slow down 25 minutes of footage times 12, you're looking at hundreds of hours. And then the weirdest objects came. Something that was very militant. It was like two boomerangs. One came 20 kilometers away to the left of the drone, like a flank, the other one to the right of the drone. All systematic, boom, boom, as if a craft that was in the center just ejected a flanking maneuver by two boomerangs, these threads. And then for me, it was game over. So then I sat with that and I thought, whoa, it's got to be something about the smoke. And I remembered all the conspiracy theories about the chemtrails. This was something that was in the UFO thing for quite a while. And I then acquired a piece of land on the lake, 20 kilometers away from where I filmed that, from the other lake system. And it was game on. I decided to have a look in every smoke. And from day one, they were there. I couldn't believe my luck in a certain fashion. That's how I found them, through the first day.
So, did you have a previous interest in sort of weird stuff or paranormal
In
related stuff?
you know, I had weird stuff. I've lived by myself my whole life. I grew up on a horse farm in the middle of nowhere, which is the same surroundings as now, the bushveld, and we had fires every day. I had to be hospitalized for like 2 weeks with brain pneumonia, but they didn't know what it was. They took like a lumbar puncture, but the hospital didn't really understand what was happening with my brain infection. And after that, I couldn't sleep because I had numbers. If I went to sleep, it's just numbers in my brain. And then my mom took me to many doctors, and eventually they worked out that I was sleeping with a feathered pillow. They gave me ear grommets. And only later in my life now, when I'm doing this, I go back to what on earth was that, as I was alone on a farm having these weird things. And I've slept on many feathered pillows since then, and I haven't dreamt of numbers. And then comes my only first visual event, and that was in 2013. And my girlfriend had asked me to go and close the car window because it was raining. And I stepped onto our balcony, and then out at sea from us, I could see like night rider lights. Boom, 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 boom. Boom, 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 boom. We wet ourselves. I called her out. We stood on the balcony. I phoned two friends. They came over. The four of us just watched 5 lights turn to 4 lights, turn to 3, to 2. And then it left one remaining light in the sky from 7 o'clock at night till 11 o'clock at night. It did not move. Put my camera on a tripod, and I just filmed that black and white sky. At 12 o'clock, I saw all of these objects release into the sky. Then I found myself running around our community with no electricity, 12 o'clock at night, filming these two beige, yellowy, white orbs and one red one fly right through the middle of our town. And at that stage, I just got my hands and knees into our soccer field, which is only sand. There's no grass. It's a sand soccer field. And I sat there in fear. And I couldn't believe that I was actually just so damn scared. I was shaking scared that I actually almost ran home. I had a good pace about it when I went home. And then I realized I got home at 1:30, but I only took 3 pictures, And then later, now that I'm doing this, then I go back to that event. I'm like, man, why did I get so bloody scared like that, And so from 2013, I was on the ufology on YouTube because of that one event. But I think that's when they arrived in our community.
So have you got, is it a big community of people?
About
where you work?
4,000 strong, and only about
Okay.
60 expats.
Okay. And did anybody, I know you said you got your friends round, did anybody else in the community witness
We have
these
loads
things?
of UFO stories.
Okay.
Basically, everyone has seen something that they cannot explain. And when we sit at a bar together, everyone has their little story about something.
Cool. And are they similar to like the red like orbs, or is it
Kind of.
different?
More the recipient, like especially the homeowners that have the view out to sea at night. Those are the ones that see some really good, weird reciprocating lights. Um,
Okay.
so a lot of interesting stories, and especially now, not everyone believes me, but the ones that do send me these messages like, "Please, can you have a look at this?" And I can say, oh, "It's a flare. Your iPhone in the sun gives a blue little dot there. It's a flare. That
Yeah.
blue dot is not an orb." And I've constantly got to do that.
It's surprising that you have to do that quite a lot on the internet
Yeah,
as a whole. Everybody's
yeah.
got. Um, so, so from 2013 or before that, did you have any kind of paranormal experience apart from the numbers? Did you have any
No,
kind of paranormal? No, nothing at all.
no,
No.
no. It
So we
just
do
it
find
just
that,
sparked my interest.
yeah, we do find that sometimes when people have these experiences with UFOs, or for want of a better phrase, UFOs, UAPs, or these orbs, they tend to have had some kind, not all, but a lot tend to have some kind of paranormal events growing up, or they'd seen something like that when they were smaller, and it seems to have followed them through sort of the years. But so 2013 happens, you start going on YouTube, you get your camera out. Um, that leads you up to sort of near lockdown. Was there any other experiences between 2013 and sort of the lockdown time where you saw different
But
types of objects, or
uh, I would say no, like visually no. But now that I've got so far, when I think back at certain moments, there is that intuitive, the invisible side of it. The one that you could not prove to anybody. There
did
is
you get
this
the impression?
conscious thing.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
Come on. I was going to say, did you get the impression that these lights were intelligently controlled on their own, or they were part of a group?
Oh no, 100%. Like, in fact, straight away when those two flanked the drone in such a vigorous manner, it was immediate straight away for
Yeah.
me.
Do you get a sense of, so going back to the red lights, do you get a sense of whether these red lights and these orbs were like their own entity? So,
They,
so for
it's a
example,
licorice all sorts. I think there's so many different ones, and I think they all have
mm,
different abilities.
yeah,
So it's hard to pinpoint. But if we're talking about that red one, I think in your law, about that red one. He seems to be highly special. There seems to be only one in the whole
okay,
licorice all sort family. And there seems to be hierarchy. Every
what
element
makes you
seems to
say
have a
that?
different. I think just in the size of some of the elements would be larger. And when you're looking at a consistency of everything being roughly the same size, when you just get that one that is larger, but then he has like bodyguards. When he flies past, or she, whoever it is, there's two that directly follow, two that directly follow, and no other object has that. And I called her the queen to begin with. But every time I catch, she gets bodyguards that follow it. And on the outskirts, so wherever the fire is, go 1 kilometer east, north, south, west away from the fire, find a nice tree, and that's where that object is going to be.
So not directly coming out of the fires; they're sort of
Nothing
surround
does.
the fires.
Nothing does. Out of the 300 odd fires I've been to, you can sit on top of that fire with a drone and you can watch nothing come up vertically from a flame. Nothing. Very hard to perceive this. But if we
Mhm.
just have to go back to the first instrument that's being used, why we can't see ash is the Mavic Air 2 drone that I'm using has the shallowest focal range of 22 millimeter wide angle. It is a drone for beautiful wide landscapes. When the drone is up 100 meters, when you look down at a tree, you cannot see a leaf. And there's no ways you're going to see a piece of ash. It's just too small for that sort of. Um, and
That's a
yeah,
nice drone, that is.
It's a great
Okay.
drone. I wish I had a much better drone, to be honest with you, because now that we zoom into small object, you just need that extra. And more frames per second would be great. You know, I can film them at the moment going from a square to a circle, but going up to that 240 frames per second, then you can watch the transition from a square to a circle. And that would be the interesting stuff.
So when you're talking about these fires, how big are these fires that you're filming?
They are. I have gone to bushfires, forest fires. We've got rubbish dump fires. We've got personal house fires. We've got clearing land fires, soccer field fires. The the wetland is what I've built my camp with. It's the reed and the laka laka, and it's highly flammable. It burns when it's wet and green. And this entire wetland is a massive wetland that is highly combustible. And it creates this pink, thick smoke because it's not on a raging fire. It's a smoldering wetland fire. There's water underneath, and it's burning when it's green. So it ranges, and between, we've got no rules. There is no municipality here to control any garbage fire, house fire. There isn't any. So here in the northern Natal and southern Mozambique, it's probably about 200 fires every day, non-stop. Um, it's so large because if I had to take 300 fires, 99% of all the smoke heads in one direction. It's fascinating. It's almost purposeful to get the smoke to move down the line to somewhere. And then they swim upstream to it, you know?
Okay. So I've seen on one of your videos you're filming, and one of the elementals has come against the wind,
Yes.
because you can see the direction of smoke.
Thank
Come
you.
against the wind, which is about like a 25-mile-an-hour wind. I think you said
The
it was.
fires love wind. It's very rare that I'm not in a strong wind with a fire.
Yeah, yeah. So you start filming all these things, and do you get a sense that they're always going to be there, or
This is where I'm going to freak everyone out, and some people are going to go, "That
go for
guy
it?
has lost his marbles."
Go for it.
I The hijacker came, but I want to discuss that later. It's very in depth. He came to my house. I burnt my face off. I had strange marks, and I got to film him in my house, not house, my land, my camp, a being in a tree, and for 3 months my face just burnt uncontrollably. I thought it was actually my LCD screen of my laptop that was affecting all my sun damage, from being in the sun for so long. And I had to just every night put aloe vera on my face just to calm the burning. I couldn't figure it out.
Right, so you just freaked me out a little bit just there.
Yeah,
You used
we'll
the
come back
word
there. It's a big story.
hijacker. Yeah,
Let's come.
okay, we'll come back to
Oh,
that.
can you ask me that
Yeah.
question again, please?
Yes, yeah, we will. Now,
Yes. That the first question, I strayed a little bit there.
no, that's fine. You carry on talking. We just go with the conversation, so don't worry about that.
Okay. You're talking about a conscious connection that I might be having with them. Is that what you're
Yeah,
trying to get?
potentially, or you're getting some kind of
This is. Oh, sorry.
probably
Yes, thank you. This
yeah,
is what I
probably
wanted to
like
tell you.
a conscious kind of
It was.
awareness that
It
could go and
was.
film.
It was, and it is highly intuitive based. And a lot of my friends ask me, "But why you, Daryl?" And I hate that question because I live alone and I'm an empath. My skill is intuition. That has been my whole life's thing. I'm the best salesperson. I'm a people reader. And being a nature photographer, where I've done everything from the ocean, fish, to the land, the birds, the seas, I've actually covered absolutely everything about our nature and wildlife. For me, this was only the next thing that I could film that's new to me. I've done everything. So let me give you a modern day event. I get an SMS from a service provider. That is how weird it is. It is an stock standard load airtime SMS, 844501. And I get that. Oh, God. I quickly charge my battery because I know I've been lazy now and I haven't got two batteries prepared for the flight. I go outside and Struce Bob, there's the fire. But they're not in all fires, but they are in all my messages fires. So my strike rate over 300 fires and 300 messages, my strike rate for the messages is close to 90%.
So you get a notification
I
on your
just
phone
I
from
just get
just to say
a
there's
stock standard. Do you want to buy airtime? That's the message, and I use that, and then there I fly. It is so weird, but then now you can go to collecting data, which was the purpose for me around everything, was do it every day, and then eventually you're gonna see a pattern. I filmed them 400 meters up on my hill, hovering over my friend's house is aerial, just hovering over the aerial. It sees the drone, it leaves the house, comes past, does its little tilt, and he flies off. What was he doing hovering over a massive antenna? Exactly what I'm talking about. They are actually tapped in. This is my opinion, by the way. They are tapped into absolutely everything. Everything, in my
So
opinion.
do you see these with your naked eye, or is it just on
I see the
your drone?
flickers. When I'm where I'm standing, I can fly the drone a kilometer out, turn the drone towards the house, and I can watch them shoot out from where I'm standing. So I know they're there. But in my eyeball, they would just be flickers. You would never be able to judge those flickers. But I like filming them from a distance, looking back at where I'm standing, and I catch crazy things. So they're there everywhere. They know what is going on. They also, step by step, have fed. If you go back to my very first video, very boring, one element, you know. And then you go to all 300 videos, and then the stuff that they're showing now, but they certainly have done it gradually. It wasn't everything all at once in the beginning.
Do you
Very
think they
interesting.
were sort of testing you, as it were? So sort of like, is he
I'll
open
send you.
to us?
We'll keep up now. I'll send you all the videos of the
Mm,
bean and all
yeah,
the elements flying through my camp that specific day. I think I wasn't meant to catch them to begin with at that Cozy Bay Lake system. As
yeah.
soon as I came 20 kilometers to build my own camp, I turned my cell phone on. The drone took off, and that connection online, like we're talking about, there I am. Boom! It's as if whatever they caught from me there is. And sure, I would have been the most interesting person for them because of my ADHD in doing this. Um, I live with an African culture. I sleep with 3 dogs in my bed alone as a 45-year-old man. I have no more family left. My mom died in Corona, and I have nothing left. And I live with a culture. So if somebody wants to go like, wow, Daryl, I think if you look at the whole piece of, I may seem very, very interesting for them at this point in time. Especially when I look at YouTube and how crazy the world is. We're living in a little bit of a utopia here at the moment.
The
I haven't
world
ever
is
worn a
crazy.
mask. Can you believe it? I never got to wear a mask. And
Well,
I'm sorry, everybody. I really am. I really am sorry. But I got locked up.
So you refer to the elementals as they or she's or the queen, you call one of them. What do you think they actually are, or where do they come from? What's your thoughts and
I
feelings around?
I had somebody from Belgium. I think her feed on Twitter is called Contact, and she started to look inside of these elements. You know, at first I saw one or two faces, but I didn't want to go there. I really didn't want to push that. I didn't want to go there, but she didn't force it. But we just found ourselves looking inside of them, and yeah, and then came the learning. Then came the real stuff because they all got beings behind them. Every single one of them is piloted.
okay.
It's not just a biological element doing its thing. It's got something behind, and it seems to be very connected, like a beehive in a way. So like
Mm,
one person controls all of them.
okay. So is this entity controlling them? Is it inside like the threads or
Let's just
because it was
say, okay,
interesting.
let's
Cool.
get to where my brain is, and then you guys can do your own hypothesis.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I don't think that you can get a massive big craft traveling through that magnificent Webb Ellis photo 500 million light years away without some amazing tech to protect that steel framework of a craft. I think this is quite implausible. And if it is, they would have to be very close, like our moon, to be able to handle just a 240-kilometer journey, whatever it is. To travel the entire expanse of this universe, as we know, you have to have a technology like they have, which is a plasma projection. You'd be able to visit every single galaxy with this technology. And they're like portals. They are like projected plasma portals. Not the threads. The threads seem to be more of a solid base. You get the threads, you get the fork-tail threads, then you get these. It's fatter than a thread, but when you look inside of it, you can almost see like stars and space. And then you get the discs. And when you look inside the discs, then you get a being, just a face of a being, like a portrait. And then you will get like a manta ray shape. And when you look inside the manta ray shape, you actually get a background and you get triangles of rock. So you start to see location. And the more we look in it, we can see beings and a location behind 90-degree walls, boxes with inscriptions on them. Yeah, it really does go. It goes to something really hectic.
When you're saying look inside, what you mean with that? Are you like zooming in, like
And
closer, or what?
100%. I wasn't into it, but a lot of the people on Twitter now take a picture and they put it on their iPhone or their phone, and they're able to see a lot more by adjusting shadows and exposures and lightness in that black space. But if you have a black piece of ash the size of a tennis ball, you shouldn't be able to see anything inside of it. And it's quite easy to lighten up that black, and boom, there's everything inside of it. So you will see a flip flap of a black thing, like bop, bop, bop. But when you slow it down, is actually looking.
So you say tennis ball size. Is that the size that these elementals are, or
They,
the
I
threads
would,
look quite
they
big?
shapeshift. All of them shapeshift. Every single one of them. I would say they can range from size from a mosquito to maybe even a car. They could also all collect together and become a bigger element. Who knows? But they release and they collect elements as well.
So I saw one of your videos. Well, there's two videos that I wanted to quickly mention because you mentioned word plasma projection portal. So there's a video that you've got of an object, like a dark object, moving across the screen, and you describe it as like popping them out. I think it is the word you used. But
100%.
you see these lights coming out. Is that a portal that they're coming out of, and the portal's just moving, or
It would
is
would
that
have to
one off?
be. It would have to be because what the element that spits the white objects out has got no depth and field. It's paper thin.
That's
Okay.
interesting. Never
No,
thought of a
I
portal as
know
being.
it's
When you think of it, you think of like a gap
well,
in
it
everything.
looks like it disappears when it flutters. Looks like it's gone. It's like, oh, where have you gone? But it hasn't gone. It just turned to the side. It's that thin.
So one of the other videos is I'm trying to describe it. It like this light that looks like a plasma ball or something going sort of up and close to the screen. I can only describe it as that because I couldn't really identify what it was. It looks like a ball, but all lit up all the way round. I don't know
The
if you
the
know
the,
which one.
the bright white object.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I've caught it twice in 3 years. A very rare little object, and I just wish I had a better camera for that. I'd love to have a look at. It's got really sharp ray,
Yeah, because it's those that really stand out to me as being like something unusual.
It's
I know,
definitely a plasma of some sort.
yeah, and it definitely appears to be something that I haven't sort of seen like that before, if that makes sense. Kind of the only time I've seen something like that, I'm actually looking at it, it's from August the 15th. There's some plasma photos that you've got up on Twitter. I'm just looking at as we speak. I can't even share the screen, otherwise I'd. But it's from August the 15th on your Twitter feed.
Okay.
There's another video. I've got so many questions,
No,
so
no problem.
apologies if I'm
No
just spitting
problem.
them out.
It's nice for
So,
me to actually get it out as well. So
yeah, definitely. And we like to provide this platform for people just to get it out. So if we're a bit off on a tangent, that's cool.
yeah.
We'll just go with it, and that's how we like to do it. So looking at some of the photos and some of the videos that you post, it reminds me of somebody in the UK called Anthony Wood. Now, Anthony Wood would go out every day in the UK with a video camera, old like not digital, analog, pointing up at the sky, and all these weird objects would appear. And some of the stuff that you are putting videos up of, and some of the photos that you've put up, are very reminiscent of his stuff. I'll send you some of those because I think you'd be interested to see them.
Anthony Wood.
Anthony Woods. It's around year 2000, 2002. It's on Google and stuff like that. You would be able to find his stuff. I think it was that time of around the 2000s that his story came out, and that was it. UFO magazine in the UK covered it, but it's very similar stuff to what you're posting. And some of the photos that you've taken are very strange, I must admit. And like Ash said, where do you think they're coming from? Because I don't know if you sort of pinpointed are they earthly entities,
Because of
or
the
do you think
projection, the portal system, the projection system, that tech is far away. You're not from the moon and you're projecting to Earth. I can't see that system happening. So I think the moon could be a base, as they live with us, but originally their tech is from a very, very far distant galaxy. But coming back to this, I don't forget it. Just videos, or somebody sent the NASA pictures of my threads that I'm filming, and they match up
Yes.
exactly. And NASA filmed them with the Apollo mission on the moon.
Yeah, I saw those links.
Identical fork tails. So
And NASA also put down what are these threads, and it was a bit of a story about that.
I don't know. I came up with the name thread. Not that I'd ever heard it before, but now the word thread is being used. I don't know why that happened. Is that just subconsciously we all just came up with the word of a thread?
Yeah.
Like who coined the word thread? I just don't know.
And now I'm looking at another video that I'd seen as well. It's from August the 10th that you put up, where you say you're an intuitive photographer that was filming climate change before you filmed them. And there's some white objects steaming past the camera. The only way, and there's some other objects as well, but they look like white Tic Tacs.
100%. The one that I told you above the antenna is it in a Tic Tac form. The alien face is in a Tic Tac form. It makes a bunny ears, and that bunny ear is sort of, if you flip the bunny ears the other side, it would be in the shape of a Tic Tac, but on the inside is actually like a coffee bean.
Okay. There are quite a few other photographs I want to talk about, but I think Ash has got questions, so I'll...
No, I was just going to say, like, you sort of mentioned Twitter, and obviously you shared some of the stuff from NASA, and you're quite vocal on Twitter.
Thank you.
Kind of like, I don't really care what you think, this is the reality.
There's no choice. The world is screwed at the moment. We can go for it.
I think that's pretty refreshing to see.
Thank you.
What has sort of the reaction you've got from sort of either the general public or anyone in what you had good bad reactions to what you've been posted or
I actually
how's this been?
expected way worse. I've had one naysayer. I expected a bombardment of ridiculous, stupid, unfounded, unknowledgeable questions. And not many. I think people are they. What can you say? You know, how can you explain it in a certain fashion? I think people that watch one movie, they're going to go to ash. Ah, that got a fire. There's ash. But through repetition, you see the pattern, and it becomes impossible. I hope you guys have sort of seen that. It probably could be about maybe 1% that's going to be ash, but the rest, just not. I'm afraid.
Yeah, because I think when the fires are involved, people potentially are going to
Hundred
say
percent.
ash or embers, whatever. But then when you look through your timeline, a lot of the stuff that I see doesn't appear to be like remains of a fire. You took a photo of a golden orb.
Oof, it was a good one. 100%.
Now, yeah, that's
100%. Now that's when I use my 5D and I use my 7D Mark II.
and that is that's very interesting. That's that for anybody listening on Twitter. You go to August the 10th, and you'll see the golden orb. And
These are the ones that stay around my house watching. These are the watchers.
yeah,
And I know it's really hard to say, but yeah, I can literally film an element just hovering in one spot for over an hour, straight across for me. It's quite crazy,
yeah,
but I'm
yeah,
still alive.
yeah. Well, that's a bonus, definitely. So what? Why? So going back to a question that you said you'd been asked a while ago. Why you? Why out of everybody? Why do you think that they're say allowing you to see them
I
or
think I think
encouraging you to
I
see
think
them?
if you see my entire 1,500 strong feed, I can't see many people around the world having to have no materialism. I don't own shoes. I'm barefoot. I don't own shoes.
Cool.
And everything is for free. And I want to just get it all out there. And I am ridiculously persistent. I will make sure we cover every single inch of it. And I'm very creative. I play music every day on my guitar. I draw and I paint. I do movie. I'm basically I do everything to keep myself as creative as possible, and
Good.
that helps with my loneliness at being 45. I can't import a girl into this bush. It's not that easy. It's quite a tough life out here. But
Yeah.
without the creativity, I'd be screwed. But also without the creativity, I don't think I'd be here with this sort of phenomenon. It's quite
Do
a
you
deep.
think it's yeah? I was going to say, do you think your creativity is part of the fact that you're able
It
to
has to.
film?
It has to. You know, I felt so different my whole life because of this bloody intuitive impulse, creative feeling that I've always had. Um, it has to. It just simply has to. I'll give you one example. In fact, I'll give you two examples. Now, I'm not an atheist, but I'm not religious, but I am spiritual. I was baptized as a child, so I guess I'm Christian and baptized and all of that. But I don't practice it, and but I don't break any of the laws, and I make sure that I give 20% or 30% of everything I have to everybody else. I make sure that my whole life I've kept it clean without a religion. So when I took this land, I knew it was going to be hard. I knew that I'm going to have to get the capital, live by myself and suffer, while I build one house to two to three. So I prayed. For the first time in my life, I prayed. But with meaning, but not to God or not to Jesus, but to everyone, to Allah, to Jehovah, to the deities, to my mom, to my dad. And boom, like as if I got hit. It just says, I can't help you unless you help yourself. a stock, standard, subconscious type of a thought. And I never prayed because I know the power of the subconscious. And you can be talking to yourself when you pray and answering, it's very powerful, the subconscious. But I loved the experiment of understanding, like, what a strong word. I couldn't believe it. It really was quite strong. And the very next day I went to go and have a meeting, and 3 years later I built the camp. 2 weeks ago, I also had my house burnt down during the filming last year of All of Us. I lost everything. I also had a house fire. We'll come to that later. But because my house burnt, it burnt my car key, it burnt all my documents, it burnt all my clothes, it burnt everything I've ever owned since the day I've left school. I lost everything. Had to start again. I lost all anyway. So because I lost my passport, I had to go last week, a week before last, by walking across this border with both the border police on South Africa, Mozambican side, the army Mozambican side, the army South African side. I had to pay somebody to help me crawl through this fence to go 100 kilometers away to get my passport. But now I'm really nervous. I'm really, 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 really nervous. So I've come this far. I've come this far. I know I've got watches. I know it. So I close my eyes and I look up. I take big breaths, and I have the cleanest sort of question that I want to ask them. Please, can you protect me? That's all I ask. But I ask God, I ask the universe, again, my mom and dad, I put all of them in there, but I do it with meaning. And boom, again, in my eyelids. It's so weird because I'm not this deep person. The word R-A-E. I'm like, what? Excuse my Italian. What the hell, Daryl? R-A-E. What on earth would that just come up? I don't even have a friend called Ray, So I Google it, and it means the wise protector. So when I'm asking for protection and the word RAE comes up, I just go, but hold on a second. There's no way that I knew the meaning of Ray. I know that. I just didn't. How and why just one word and nothing else? And why did it mean the wise protector when I'm asking for protection? It's that stuff. I can't talk about my friends. I'm talking on the podcast, but I can't tell my mates. It's really bizarre. But it's a 1 in 1 billionth chance that I knew what that word meant at that specific time.
Wow. What I wanted to ask was, what do you think the elementals, what do you think their purpose is? Why
The timing, the UFO Twitter world and all of you guys, the timing. Just go look at the timing. So what would it take for something that can only be caught on a camera to be seen? What would it take? And then ask yourself, who would they go to? And if they found somebody who accidentally who found them, would they carry on and show more piece by piece? Or would they have taken the drone out? How you've seen them all whiz past the drone. How hard is it to take the drone out? On the big events, the drone stops dead still. The phone vibrates in my hand. I get a big red bar around my screen, and I can't move it left, right, nothing. It just goes, and the drone stops dead still. When I review the footage, there's something really special. So they're able to stop the drone for that 10, 20 seconds, but then they let the drone continue to film the element. It's very hard to figure out. What do they want? They can easily just completely stop it.
Do you say you've got dogs with you?
Yes.
Are they like large guard dogs, I'm assuming, something like that?
Oh, we got hippos. I've got hippo in my garden. Every night they bark. Every night. It's just a game. They jump up off the bed every 3 seconds nonstop. So I'll never know if it's the beings or the hippo. It's just nonstop at night for me.
I'll be honest, I didn't think I'd hear the word hippo and talk about hippo in a podcast.
He's eaten all of our spinach, so he's not in our favorite. Yeah, in our favorite books at the moment.
Hippo in my garden.
Yeah, it is just like
that. So when you're out, do you take the dogs with you when you go out with the drone?
No. 90%, about 90% of all events I can fly straight from my house.
Okay. Do the dogs sense that there's something out there aside from the hippo?
I've been watching both of them, and They act weird all the bloody time. I think they have to. They have to. They act weird all the time. At night, especially. In day, people keep them busy, but at night, it's every sound, every noise. It's ridiculous.
Bless them.
So I want to go back to the hijacker story and
Okay.
just hear that and learn more about what happens with that.
Right, yeah, you must go back some feeds. I don't know where he is. I posted so much so quickly, but I didn't notice him. I noticed what was coming out the tree. So it was one of those beautiful mornings, and where we get the sun ray. So the sun has just risen, and the camp had some mist in it, and it just gave this heavenly. Oh, it was just a beautiful morning, and so what I was filming was this object shooting out of the tree, an object coming under the table, around the house, all these weird objects. That's what I was filming. And then my friend from Contact just sent me a message to say, listen, do you know what is sitting in your tree? And I fell off my chair, off it completely, because then when you examine it, the thing that I was watching come out of the tree escaped from the shadow being, leaving the shadow. It's mad. And then also just amazing elements like bronze, like the threads, like take the threads, but bronze gold, shiny bronze gold. I've never filmed him in any fire. I've only filmed him at home. And he came with the shadow being, and then from that point on, my skin just took off. I really, really, some serious face burning issues.
So did it like rash or anything like that, or was it just
No,
the feet?
it was as if I was sunburnt in my face from forehead through to the nose to the chin. But when I say uncontrollable burning, and I had no access to doctors, or I just didn't know what to do, man. And every night I had to. We have some aloe vera in our garden, so it was the only cream that I had to put on my face. So I put it on my face, and basically what was happening is every sunspot or mark that I had on my face, at the same time, every single one of them decided to get aggravated. All of them. And then a friend said to me, listen, I can't help you. I said, well, listen, there's something happening. I've got cancer. Something is, how can my face be burning like this? So he said to me, well, I've got this cream. It's a cancer treatment cream, but what it's going to do is it's going to further burn what's already there, and it will just burn it out. And I was forced to do a cancer chemo, and I burnt everything out off my face. And even now today, like there's some days where there's a little tingle, but I don't have to put any aloe vera on my skin. They forced me to get rid of all my bloody problems. But it was hectic. It was something quite hectic.
So it sounds like kind of like a radiation burn.
It could 100%. I think it could be 100%. The same radiation. When I fly over my house, my camera wobbles. I get a camera wobble, and then I get obstruction both front and back. So there's a zone. There's this little patch of zone, and I think it's that zone.
How long did that last for?
Still carrying on. You're talking about the zone or the face?
Oh, the burning.
It's still carrying on. Every 2 or 3 days when my face sort of like, oh, hold on a second, it's just like, really going for it, and it's still going on. I'm having big memory losses at the moment, and I'm truly hoping that I'm going to be okay through all of it. Too much is maybe not a good thing, but I am finding big chunks. Like I leave shit there. I'm finding big chunks of memory going.
Do you experience any kind of missing time or anything like that? Do you feel like there's something else?
Yeah, this is the memory stuff. You just be like, shit. I actually went to go and have a shower. I left all my stuff there, but now I'm back on my computer. What happened? I thought you completely forgot. Big tasks in its entirety. And a little bit worrying. It could just be very tired. Me just being very tired because I've been examining small things for 3 years now. It's quite a thing.
Such an incredible story so
Yeah,
far.
I know it's crazy as hell.
It's no crazier than other people we've spoken to about stuff, and the fact that you're able to provide evidence and a lot of it of things that you're experiencing.
Yeah, that
That's
is the one thing.
definitely
I don't think I would ever be able to speak about something unless I had enough data and enough to talk about it.
So why did you start putting it onto Twitter and for everyone else to
I,
see what's your
I didn't, because
behind
I
it?
was creative. I opened a YouTube channel, but not like what everyone says. Oh, you made a YouTube channel, you're gonna make money. No, it wasn't like it. Unmonetized. I had a music bed subscription, so the artist gets everything for the music. It means nothing to me. But I was making like very dramatic. They were quite dramatic with music, and But then I was thinking, this is like the wrong way to do it. I can carry on making these fun-looking videos, but we're not going to get anywhere. And it's very aggravating reading everyone wanting to know. Everyone will want to know. Meanwhile, I'm sitting with all this information. So I thought, let's go for it, and not in the hopes of becoming famous, in the hopes of catching NASA's attention. My actual aim is to attach with NASA because I know that NASA does not know that they've been doing this on the ground. They had the evidence of them in space. They have all of the photos by billions of them, but I don't think anyone attached it like what we're about to attach it. Them on Earth doing this in the fire. So my hope is
and
that.
and NASA are now doing UFO things and UAP things and study into that. So that's
I really hope
all.
they've looked at some of my stuff, because for some NASA people it would have been clear immediately. They would have been, oh my God, holy cow.
I, as we're talking, I'm still scrolling through your Twitter feed, which is an incredible document of everything that's happening
Thank you,
on the
thank you.
timeline. There's some photo. There's actually a video. I saw it a bit earlier, and you are filming from behind your Canon camera, and you zoom in on the back of the camera, and you can see what you say is a craft of some kind.
100%.
What I mean, it definitely looks out of place. I'll be honest with you. So, do you get to see? We've talked about tic tac shapes, some thread shapes, some manta ray style ones, some discs, the plasma projections. These craft, where do they sit, for want of a better phrase, in this hierarchy, or are they the same thing? Are they
They
different?
are they are the thing. They are the craft. All of these would be the exploratory, the data capturers, the observers. But that plasma, remember, the journey goes of giving bits and pieces at a time,
Yeah,
bits and pieces. And then one day, there he was, just sitting there for the very first object I could see with my bare eyes. And
yeah,
in that zone, there is nothing there. It is just pure bush, and no one else had the visual on it. If you look at the trees to the left, the trees to the right, and
yeah,
if you look at my neighbor and my other neighbor and this neighbor, no one else would have seen it. It put itself straight across the lake in front of my house.
yeah. I'm looking at it now. It's again incredible piece of
Oh, and he was shooting things out.
photography.
There was things escaping when you slow it down and you zoom in on my other footage. He
Yeah.
releases threads.
So I think, yeah. So I do want to talk more about the things they're spitting out, possible origins of this, and also what the future holds for you, what we think is going to happen. But I think we should do that in a second part,
Yeah,
maybe, just to give us some more time, just to go through your footage and get more of a feel, because there's a lot of stuff on there.
thank you.
So I think for this episode, we can sort of wrap up where we've got to. So we've gone on a bit of a journey with you, and if it's okay with you, we'll do a second part in maybe a week or 2 weeks' time, or whenever
100%.
you're free.
Yeah,
and then we
100%.
can go into a bit more detail about the NASA connection, and what we think, where the UAP studies worldwide and the global sort of progress that we're making with UAPs and all the sort of government funding that's coming out now, congressional hearings. It'd be good to start looking at how this fits into that, how it can fit into that, how they should be looking at this. And if that's okay with you, we can do a second part and we'll have
I'm
like
in.
another hour. Is
100%.
that?
I'm in. Awesome.
But yeah,
Um,
if you're cool with that, we'll do that.
yeah, definitely. But to come quickly back to, as far as I'm concerned, disclosure through the NASA line is going to be the cleanest and the best way to do it. And I
Okay.
truly believe that maybe even from my elements with NASA elements could be the keyhole, could be the way that they could, transition
Yeah.
this from the elements they filmed. Oh, they're on Earth now, and then they can go and look inside the portholes at a later stage. They
Yeah.
can. There's levels, but they can definitely
Definitely.
start with me.
This whole UAP paranormal thing has definitely got levels, and that's
100,
a great way of saying it.
100.
Great way of
This
saying
is
it. You've got people like Skinwalker Ranch, Stardust Ranch that we've spoken about on previous podcasts, where portals are opening up there. Do you feel, as a sort of a last question for me on this episode, do you feel that like the paranormal, so unexplained events, orbs, that kind of thing, UFOs, they're all the same thing? Do you believe
100,
that?
100%, 100%.
That's what
It's
we think as well.
multi-leveled. So
Yeah,
it's so
definitely.
deep. It's unbelievably deep.
When you said levels, that perfectly sums the whole subject field up. There are levels.
Yeah, there
Some
are
people
levels.
experience this level, and some people like yourself are experiencing different levels. So for now, thank you so much for your time.
Enjoy,
Amazing.
guys. Thank you very much.
Pursuit of the Paranormal with Ash and Greg.